Don't stop.
Now we're quiet.
Now nobody wants to say it. So only those that joins the meeting early know what's going on and why we're laughing before we go live. So if you join live now, it's like, what the fuck are they so happy about?
That's why we always have to start live streaming immediately when we join.
Yep.
True.
Transparency as well, even in the jokes.
Including. Yeah.
Then we can have a promo video of this with these moments.
We can already have it actually. I'm sure many of them are recorded.
Not sure if it's promo or anti-promo, but
Depends on the audience.
So who wanna go through all the video recordings to find
You, that's
No,
your next
no.
step.
That's gonna take a month just to get out.
we can put it on the bounty program.
Good idea. Maybe someone would love to do it, or you can use an AI to do it. Maybe.
Yeah, sure. It's gonna be. It's a shorter path. Build an AI to do it.
To find funny moments across multiple videos.
Actually, if we would have all the videos from the past recorded with Fathom, with this new fancy tool, so everything is transcribed, so you then just look for keywords.
Just look for ha ha ha.
Ha ha ha, he, exactly.
Lol.
The comments like, the audience is laughing.
That would actually be pretty smart. All right, let's get down to business. Do you folks anything you want to add before diving into it?
Well, I just want to say that I need help with one issue, but I'm not sure if this is on the agenda. So I haven't checked.
Kinda. Not explicitly. But
All right. So yeah, that's it. That's my only thing. The issue is I'm gonna find it and share it to you.
yeah, for sure.
Well, actually, you shared it a few minutes ago. Oh, true. Can you please share it, Jonas? Because yeah, I'm using the laptop, but having the video call on the iPad. So yeah, I was going to paste in the iPad. Stupid me.
Sure.
Personality. It would be cool if I could just stand.
I'll go through it anyway. So eventually.
Wait. What's that kind of magic? My mouse just got into the iPad. What the fuck? So they really did it. They thought about it.
I posted it in chat. That's the pull request you're talking about.
Nice. Oh. And I can even write. Oh my God. That's it. Sorry. I got excited.
How to be happy with an update, huh?
Oh
That's
my
so
God.
rare.
That was really cool. I wasn't expecting this.
All right, so I want to bring up bindings first. I think we might have, so at the moment we don't have, in all the other repositories we have this spec, major spec. Oh, we actually have it here. Never mind. All right, so I went through all of the bindings that didn't have code owners and tried to figure out where there was version 3 specific things that changed the bindings. And it ended up like some of them, not so much because there's not anything specific about some of these protocols. But there were 6 changes to some of them. And I see I need to retarget the PRs, so I didn't do that. Now, each one of them are actually done. So these are all the proposed changes for example, AMQP. And yeah, it's basically done. The only things that are unsure about is there are sometimes examples in the bindings as well. I have not changed any of those, not until we finalize what the actual changes are. Secondly, we also need to figure out what are the version change we want to do in the binding. Are we just doing a feature change, or are we doing a major version change and actually releasing them as, for example, version 1 of bindings, or some of them?
I will stay with version 0 because yeah, they're still experimenting. So
all right.
But yeah.
So yeah, that's for basically each individual binding. And yeah, then after we agreed on the change, then I'm gonna apply it to the JSON schema files as well. And yeah, that's basically the bindings. And then I, of course, tagged all of the code owners for those bindings that had code owners. And then also left a note about where they can read about the specific changes that were done in v3. And that's basically the bindings update. Any question?
What are the kind of changes that you had to do to the bindings?
So it was
curious. I mean, publish, subscribe for sure. Send, receive, maybe.
Yeah, the majority was operation binding.
True. Yeah.
And then there was a few with server object, or I think one. Then we have message bindings. I'm not sure I actually completed that here.
Oh yeah, and we changed the schema object as well. So.
Yeah, exactly. So this one. So yeah, there's probably a bunch of stuff still missing from the PR, but it would be nice to have someone help go through them or review them. I'm not sure who to actually tag here, because in the end, it actually falls on you folks as code owners of the spec itself, right? So all of these changes are besides the AnyPoint MQ. I think it's you folks that need to review them.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's bindings.
Thank you, because you speed it up work a lot.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
You're welcome. So tooling. I'm not sure if I actually did an update in this. I did, yeah. Oh no, I didn't. Never mind. So all of the tooling. So yeah, I basically added all of the tracked issues for each tool that we have. So once we release version 3, we can basically just look at this list and see which issues have been closed. All of the issues that have been closed is all of the tools that support v3. So that gives a really clear, immediate overview for us to take whatever information we have there and add it to the release notes and wherever we need to add it. Then comes this one. I don't think I included this in the last letting me there.
Sorry, just quick question. You mean that in every project you created an issue with information about V3 support?
Yes.
Okay. Did you use my CLI for it?
No.
No.
Because there was too many
custom stuff.
Yeah, because
Okay.
each issue needed its own explanation and list of things.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't see an easy way to do it with your tool, unfortunately. Sorry.
Actually, we're sorry for you that you had to do it manually.
That was fun. This one, just to make sure that so I think it's 3 meetings ago where we talked about using completed task as kind of the guideline for when we want to release version 3. And I didn't create this issue until after the last meeting. But this takes a restrictive approach, but saying that these are the changes that need to be done in order for us to release version 3 in good faith, basically. So you have tool to work with your async API document, even if you switch to version 3 immediately. And there we have the specification changes that of course needs to be completed, even with parser and spec JSON schema repo. But then we also have tooling. And here I took all of the primary tools that I assume are most used by users. So that means CLI, Studio, of course, the JSON schema stuff, parser, converter, and then generator. And then, of course, the React components as well for visualizing stuff. And then we have 2 templates. I'm not entirely sure about the Markdown template, but especially the HTML template is probably a priority. So this is basically the list that I'm going through at the moment and figuring out with -3 of these, what changes needs to be done and then doing them.
HTML will be easy because it's based on React component.
Yeah.
Yes.
React and HTML is the same thing in the end. So.
Yeah, so React is probably the one that's going to take the most time.
Right.
And
just a note, it's not fully related. It's not going to be a blocker, but as part of the mentorship program, we're going to have someone to redesign the docs as well. So
redesign the what?
The docs, the documentation, the HTML documentation, the React components.
Oh yeah, sure.
So
I don't mind. I mean, it's not a blocker, right?
We shouldn't couple the 2 things. We should migrate to whatever we have right now. We should migrate whatever we have right now and then redesign things. Or if he or they redesign the thing first, then we adapt that redesigned thing, right? But it's going to be a design issue, not an implementation thing. So probably we get a design, but we don't get the implementation of this design. Maybe we just get a Figma file. So, but yeah.
I also want to say that for each of these track tooling updates, my main concern is not adding features to the tools, but it's for the tool to be able to work with async API v3 document. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the React components need to update to display request reply, for example. No, it's just that you can actually provide an async API v3 document to the library that can then use it. And then the rest, for example, request reply features or schema unit, whatever, all of these things are features added later. So for me, that's not the priority at the moment. Any code owners can, of course, include whatever they like, but this is just the priority in terms of releasing the spec.
So you mean like refactoring is only the goal, like making sure that operations will render because now they render? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but if we really want to showcase, once we launch version 3, if we really want to showcase what version 3 is, documentation is a big part of it. So I think it needs to have everything included to release it. Because you can have, for instance, Glee not supporting it, Node.js template or Java template not supporting certain things, right? But documentation is very visual, and it's usually what people use to quickly understand what's the difference. So yeah.
But then I get what you're saying, because it also makes sense a long way. The only problem is the time constraint. Like if we had a half a year, sure, that might work. But all of the changes that we did in V3, I wouldn't force all of those features to be implemented in each of those tools that we see here.
Maybe not all.
Of course, the converter is a bit different. The JSON schema files is a bit different. And the parser is a bit different because there you do need it. But for example, for the studio or for the CLI, would that mean that you want each individual command that to support version 3? Because then it has a ripple effect to all of the dependent libraries for version 3 documents to work without just understanding them in some sense. So
but it's case by case, right? So like, as you said, like for example, CLI is a special one. It basically integrates all the other tools. So CLI requirement cannot be that it is able to convert from 2 to 3, because it actually just depends on the converter. That's what I mean. So it cannot generate Modelina if types if Modelina will not be updated, right?
Yep.
But in case of React component, which Studio depends on, like in the case of HTML template, in case of Markdown template, I think it's safe to say, okay, the must-have is refactor, and then we can add more features. But in case of React component, would be nice to put just basically more effort on it to be able to demo the new stuff.
The nice thing here is that Fran has volunteered to make sure that those are updated.
Oh,
so
then that's easy.
I am all good for whatever we decide on React components.
You mean you mean the React component? That's what you mean?
I mean this one.
Yeah. So I volunteered to do it if no one picks it up before me, of course.
Okay.
Then it's like I can do it, but I cannot do it until mid-August. That's the thing, right? I cannot start before mid-August. Maybe a little bit. Maybe I can do something before, but not really, because it's I have the holidays in the middle as well. I have 3 weeks holidays in the middle. So even if I want to, I'm not gonna be coding on holidays, right? So
that's also why I'm suggesting that we just stick to the bare minimum, and whatever time we have left, we can of course prioritize how we see fit.
I will take this approach with every tool except with this one.
Okay.
Because this one is very visual and it's very eye-catching. So yeah.
Do you mind adding it to the issue then? Like that specific statement with I think you're a code owner as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Because all of those issues are intended for you as code owners in whatever repository it is to take over and add whatever additional stuff that you want to the scope of those. So if you want the specific features in V3 to be supported in the tool as well, add it. Yeah. Can we say that this, I know that it's only Fran that kind of commented on it, But is it fair to say that this is the approach we take?
You mean the list? Yeah, I think the list is okay. Not sure about the what's the status of the bindings in the JSON schema?
What do
I
you
don't
mean?
remember.
The
Like,
status?
because I think we wanted for 3.0 to move them from bindings repo to
Yeah.
the spec JSON schema, and they're moved, but they're not merged, but that's in the scope, right? It's here in the scope for 3.0.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And I think we can actually expedite it a bit, because I didn't notice that we had the next major spec branch in the bindings. So we can switch over all the PRs that are currently targeting master, move it to that, and then actually just start merging the PRs and reviewing them. So we don't have to wait on anything. And then we can do the same on the JSON schema stuff. Okay, sure, yeah.
So yeah, I think from the list, I think it's complete. Markdown template would be nice if it's also refactored, because there are over 2,000 users weekly. And from time to time, people ask, so it's used, and it's documentation.
Yeah, it's. I would say it's really adapted, well adapted, the Markdown template, because people are usually are using it on CIs to put the documentation along with the code in a GitHub repo or in a Git repo.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
So,
even I advise people that when they have static site
Yeah.
generators, that they should just generate Markdown and then process it with
Yeah.
their static site generators.
Yeah, so that's a common use case. I don't know how common it is, but I've seen it many times.
Yeah, I know Magic is working on updating the to the new parser API, and I just pinged him today about an update, so I know where it stands. But yeah. Also,
sorry for disturbing, but shouldn't we maybe identify like people and especially maintainers from a given repo that are like point of contacts and they drive the work forward, or you want to be that person, Jonas, for all the projects? Because why I'm asking is maybe explain my context. Like, so for example, in React component, we have few code owners, but if like, for example, we already know that Fran is as a backup, if somebody wants to contribute further before, it's okay, but he's the final backup that will offer work, then we have it like it's clear. Then you just you have one contact point that you sync with, and other code owners also sync with Fran. In case of Markdown, there's just me and Maciej, so I can sync with Maciej, check with him, like is he leading it, finding contributors and making sure it's, you know what I mean? Or you were thinking that you're gonna basically make sure it's all happening, but like if you really want to do it.
the only task I didn't want to do was Studio, React Components, and HTML template.
Okay.
The rest, I kind of figured that is a small enough section of the tools that I would be able to champion the changes there.
Okay.
And make sure that they are adapted.
Okay, perfect. Then all these three that you mentioned, it's Fran anyway.
Yeah, and on my side, I can probably take care together with the people who are now contributing to the Studio repo to get these things done. We have a cycle now happening that's gonna end in July 31st, 31. And I can show you the link here. Oh my God, I'm excited that I can use my mouse on there. So there you go. So that's the cycle that we're running right now, and that's what we're busy right now. But since this is like the new studio, and to have the new studio, we need to support V3, right? For the end of the cycle, if I still have time, and for the next cycle, I'm gonna propose that we work on no new features, just making it work with V3 and React component as well as part of the same work, and of course HTML as a side effect.
But in Studio, except of just bumping to latest React component, is there anything else to do for 3.0?
You need spec JSON schemas to be bumped.
Yes.
And that's so you need to have it, which is not done yet. And the other thing that you will need is a React component.
Yeah, but just bump, right? It's just taken one-to-one, or is there some magic happening with the React component?
What do you mean by bump? I mean the
bump
React
dependency.
component.
Yeah, bump dependency in the Studio.
In Studio, it will be like bumping in the React component, of course, but the React component is not done yet. So.
But I mean, just like looking on the repos. Okay.
Yeah.
So some minor things, basically.
Minor things. And I mean, ideally, we should be migrating to the new parser API, because right now what we're doing is we're using the new parser API, but we're telling, like, give me the old async API document. And that's what we're doing. We're like kind of like using the new version of the parser, but with the old API, right? More or less.
Okay.
It will be cool if we actually migrate. But Studio shouldn't be that hard, actually, I think. But the React component is a little bit of work.
So Studio is basically some bits and pieces, like a converter box that suggests that you can convert once the converter is ready.
I'm not sure. Also, the spectral rules that we run behind the scenes on the bottom as well. The sidebar that we have, where we have all the items.
Okay.
And link to the menu to convert stuff, but that's a dependency who's taking care of it. That's generator taking care of it. And probably also the templates. So the templates that we're using so whenever you want to create a new document, you should have a version 3 document. And as an automatic thing, if you start a version 2 document, it will ask you to migrate the document to version 3. I know, because I've been working on this migration a few days ago. And so the converter needs to be in place as well.
So there's actually more work.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And what is it? This diagram that we're using, not the documentation view, but the other one with the other view that is not documentation. What's it called? Like that diagram.
Visualizer.
Visualizer, yeah. Again, as well. This needs to be migrated, I think, as well. So.
Oh yeah, but that's separate repo, right? That's separate project.
Yeah, but what I mean is that unless they are done, we cannot really migrate Studio, right?
Okay.
Jonas,
but didn't you take it out, Jonas? And
yep, that was the idea, but then Magic blocked the PR because it had to be upgraded. I can't remember if it had to be upgraded to a newer React version. So it didn't play well along with Studio, I think. And then, then he changed job, and then here we are. So I haven't updated the repository in a few moments.
So maybe you should fork Singlater. So it's like if it will be in the scope to fix, then maybe better do it in this separate project than in Studio, because then it still has to be done in the separate project, right? So double work.
True, yeah. We'll figure it out. I
Yeah.
actually haven't thought about it.
Okay, then it's easy.
So yeah, the three that Jen has mentioned, Studio, React, and HTML, actually Studio and React only, are the ones that are going to require the most work.
So if we have CLI on the list, we should also have server API project on the list because it's used by Studio to
It
run
is?
to run generation, because Studio is client side, so all the server
Mhm.
side it's in this separate service.
Yeah, and it's going to continue as client side at least until say, September, October. We're going to make it server side soon. So yeah. But that's going to take a while still. Probably
So,
cycle 3 or something like that.
Lucas, are you saying that this is required for CLI and Studio?
Not for CLI, for Studio.
For Studio, yeah. Because it's like what it does, it's kind of the same as CLI, but enabling functionality for the Studio in the future. So you can, with API, you can run diff, you can run conversion, I think.
In the future or now?
Studio has.
So in Studio, when you paste your document, right, you have this menu that you want, like generate HTML or generate Node.js template, whatever. And this is running generator, but because it's client side, then the generator is basically in the separate service, right? Separate.
Yeah, that's making just a call. That's an HTTP call to our API.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
And that's the call to server API server server project.
More dependencies.
So technically, we need to adapt the server API in the same way that we does with the CLI.
Yeah.
And that is a required change. So that's another task here.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think it was Sergio who once mentioned to me that we could probably extract the logic behind CLI and server API to become the same. So it's in a single place because they're doing both of them are doing the same thing, or kind of the same thing. One is right into the file system, and the other one is right into response, let's say, on HTTP. But the other things that you do with the document can probably be abstracted.
Not convinced, because like as long as when you look at the CLI code, like how it's dependent on the Oclify, and there's
that was my response as well. Like I see a lot of common things, but having that abstraction might complicate the code base.
Yeah, a lot.
So yeah, I prefer to honestly duplicate code over complicated. It's easier to maintain
stuff.
And it's not complicated code at the end. It's just about triggering API of different tools. That's it.
I am gonna ask Sergio whether he want. Oh, that's the wrong one. I'm gonna see if Sergio is up for that task.
I was thinking maybe we can use the CLI as the backend of the API, right? And then you send a response from the file that it's generated. You know what I mean?
No.
Or you pipe. So you make a request to the server API, and the server API, what it's going to do is it's going to use the CLI, right? And it's going to generate whatever on the file system in a temporary folder, right? And then it's going to send the response from that temporary folder, right? So the server API will be just an HTTP interface to the CLI.
Which is not that bad. Not that bad. Like, many people use exec.
So maybe that's one way to avoid having duplicate logic.
for the future. All right, moving on. Trades almost done. It has 2 approvals. I pinged a couple of times.
Am I blocking you?
No,
I think no. Okay.
I'm just not sure when it's fine to merge.
Okay.
So yeah, feel free to merge it when you think enough time has passed and we can move on. I'm not sure when exactly to do that. Trades behavior after it's merged, I'm gonna take over this PR and update it so it's done or done so it can be reviewed. The schema union stuff, I basically hijacked Magic's pull requests. No, I didn't. That's another one. I created the change here, and it needs a review basically. I'm not sure what exactly to add either. But I think I added what was necessary in order to support it. And it is a breaking change, but yeah. I think we agreed that it was, at least. But yeah, this needs to be reviewed. And then I need to ask Sergio how he's doing with this. And then we of course have the simplify parameter update that you were talking about earlier, Fran. Where we still need someone to champion the expectation schema changes and the parser changes.
This should not be the difficult changes, just by the way. So if someone is willing to learn how this is done, I'm happy to guide them.
Maybe it would make sense to add a good first issue.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, it's easier to engage with, like if you want to do it as a new contributor and actually seeing what it needs, like what needs to be done. But yeah, just a suggestion.
What needs to be done is actually what the spec pull request says, right? So yeah. It's mainly removing fields from the object. So not really. I don't think I did a lot. I think it was just removing the schema field, I think.
Yep.
And adding 2 or 3 new properties, and that's it. So that shouldn't be really complicated.
By the way, this is a breaking change, right? Even though it says feed.
I mean, it's version 3. Everything is going to be a breaking change.
Not everything.
Not everything, but I mean, but V3 itself is a breaking change. That's why I'm not paying attention to this now. It's like that's fine.
But it's hard for me to track what's a breaking change when I'm doing migration guides. It's like, okay. Well, he says feature. Whatever.
Can you change the title of the pull request? You probably can do it now.
But I'm not code owner, so I can't do shit.
True. Damn it. Why are you not a code owner? You resist him too much.
Because I don't want to.
But there are no issues yet, right? To do this functionality, or are there issues?
The what?
No,
what?
No,
there's no issues.
I mean, the issue in spec JSON schema repo to do it, and issue in parser.js to do it. No. Okay.
There's no. I would love to have an issue just to track it.
Because if there is a really, actually what Jonas said, like if there's a well-defined GitHub, well-defined good first issue for both, then I think it's going to be easy to find some good first issue contributor and by advertising that that's actually contributing to 3.0. So the contributor will be mentioned at the end in the list of people that contributed to the 3.0 version. And these are not, as you said, like these are not very difficult issues. It's just model adjustment and some test adjustment for parser.js.
Actually, I think in the parser, well, there will be some changes in the parser, but not same as in JSON schema, like removing some functions and adding some other functions, but really stupid ones. So
The only blocker is that it's TypeScript. So who would like to contribute to TypeScript?
All right, so it's
What a
feed
joke.
exclamation now, Jonas.
Nice.
So we already have volunteer in the chat.
Really? In the chat?
Nice.
Thanks, Benjamin.
In this chat?
Yes,
Oh,
this
yeah.
chat.
Oh yeah, Benjamin, thanks, man. Thanks for volunteering. So, well, then I'm not gonna create this. Just Benjamin, just ping me privately, and I can quickly explain you. Right?
That
So,
on or here in Slack on this
or in Slack, yeah.
Benjamin, just reach out in the Slack thread. That's what it's called, thread. And just say you want to do it, and then let's help you figure out how to get started.
Yep. Make sure you mention me so I can help you. Thanks, man. That really helps.
Yeah.
We can't hear. Hmm? Can you hear us now? Yeah. I don't know.
I'm just gonna write. All right, moving on. Doc changes, website changes. Yay. So we have just a disclaimer. We have a meeting tomorrow explicitly for doc specific discussions. And it's tomorrow at I'm just gonna link.
I'm not before today's meeting.
I'm just gonna link it in chat. It's here. It's 14:30 UTC. But yeah, just a small update on the docs. So we added a release branch on the website called Next Major Spec Change or Next Major Spec. And currently we have 3 branch or 3 pull requests targeting it. The first one here is I went through all of the basically whatever on the website that had anything V2 related or specific that needed to change for version 3. I either removed it, changed it, or added a point here that it needs to change. And the idea is that this is the first PR that kind of readies the website for version 3 release. So that means that any additional change that we do down the line are just bonuses, basically. So at least the website isn't blocked or blocking v3 release in any way. That's at least the idea. And once this is merged, I'm gonna add an issue to track all of the changes specifically for each tutorial, front page animation, etc. That needs to change. But yeah, any questions regarding that? Then we have release notes. So I think the release notes are done to an extent that it can be reviewed and merged as is now. And then the closer we get to release, I'm gonna adapt it once more with smaller changes. So this is the majority change, or the basically the what's it called, like major what's the English word for that? That's like the majority in the release notes is this PR, and then we just do small iterations down the line. So that means that you will see something like, for example, here, I haven't written the acknowledgement, I haven't written the tooling support stuff. That will come once we are closer to release time, but at least we can review part of it now, get it merged, so it's there ready, more or less. I still have a few things I need to add to the migration guide. The migration guide is basically all the, well, it's all the breaking changes. Anything you need in order to migrate from version 2 to version 3, this specific document is gonna include it. In some way interactable, makes it easier to understand, hopefully. So yeah, still missing a few things here, I think. Yeah, trades, schema stuff. But I asked, so yeah,
Okay.
it needs to be reviewed, more or less. I did ask Samir to review it as well, just to get a fresh eyes, because since now we have so much like looked at V3, it's like it's probably gonna miss a bunch of stuff that isn't well explained. So just to get some fresh eyes, I at least asked him. And if any of you want that hasn't seen V3 yet, this is probably the best starting point. Sorry, this one. Just gonna post it in chat.
All right.
Oh yeah, I'm going on holiday, not next week, but next week again. Which means I can't host these meetings. So either, and it's 2 meetings in a row. So it's supposed to be on July the 5th and July the 19th. So unless someone volunteers to host the meetings, we're not gonna have any meetings in those 3 weeks until I get back. I asked Sergio whether he could do it, but I don't think he can because he has some holiday as well. So yeah, if any of you want to host it, feel free.
Can you schedule them? I can say that I can host them,
Sure.
and if something will block me from doing it and there will be no volunteer, we will just cancel. But I think you can host them, schedule them. I mean,
I think I can make it for the 5th, July 5th, but not for the 19th. So yeah.
I actually think that Sergio can the 19th, but not the 5th. So maybe.
Actually, I don't care. I mean, I'm gonna be in the meeting, so I don't care being host or not. So I'm gonna be here. So so yeah.
Right. I'm definitely gonna schedule both of them now then. Just so that we have them. I'm gonna ping you on Slack as well.
Awesome.
so once you're out, we're gonna test meeting by starting live stream even before we start the meeting.
Yep.
Let's see how it goes.
It's gonna be a black screen.
So what you're saying is I basically just need to watch the first 5 minutes just to get all the goals. Okay.
Yep.
We should start all the meetings with a joke, and then so in the first 2 minutes, let's say you have 2 minutes to tell a joke, and then it will be easier for someone who wants to create that video, like go through all these meetings since day X, and you'll find all the jokes in the beginning of the video.
I can do that jokes when I since I'm now 40. It's I noticed that I'm
yeah,
very
true.
like seriously I'm making a lot of that jokes, so I can think of something.
Nice.
Yeah.
You will. Yeah, that's actually what I have. That's my update.
All right, so we're shipping September 1st, right?
That's the plan.
So
Maybe
you-
not September 1st, but maybe September
So Jonas, you said
25th.
like before something that caught my attention. And first you started stating that we have this issue as a list of the list of tasks that we need to finish in order to release version 3, right? But at some other point of the meeting, you said like yeah, that would be cool if we had 6 months, but we don't have 6 months, right? And and I was like, don't we? We have as much as we want, right? I mean, we don't have a time constraint anymore. But you seem to be really convinced.
I want to get this shit done.
You seem to be really convinced that this is this is going to happen in September. So yeah.
Oh, it's happening in September.
Either you like it or not.
You don't have a choice.
I mean, it has to. Let's do event-driven development. So we have to have it for first async API on tour.
Event-driven development, I like it. But event as in, you know, like.
You get it, right?
That's really cool. That's really cool, man.
That's kind of jokes I can come up with.
But please, for the beginning of the meeting. So they're easier to find. All right, so yeah, so as soon as I can free myself from some of the tasks that I have, and I'm assuming that it's gonna be probably earlier than I thought. I can probably try to give it a push, you know, give a push to this, and hopefully we can get this closer to the September deadline, right? So yeah, I'm just gonna be 3 weeks out. The rest of the time I'm gonna be here, so it should be fine.
Same.
I can help.
But that's the problem. That's not the problem. That should never be the problem. But it is. It is restricting.
It's open source, yeah. It's as long as we have enough reviewers and approvers, let's say, we shouldn't be blocked.
I'm gonna add this to the retro perspective, but I have a feeling that we're tying too many changes to the spec in order to release it. Like there's too many moving parts that
Yeah,
it shouldn't be affecting.
We were so afraid of releasing a breaking change that we concentrated all of them in a single one. And now this is a monster. This is a huge monster that nobody is able to deal with.
Nobody wants to touch with a pole. It's like
Exactly. And I think the biggest lesson for me here is like we shouldn't be afraid of releasing major versions more often. That's my
not
lesson
smaller
from that.
ones.
But smaller ones, of course. Like more often, smaller.
Yeah.
And there will be a point where, yeah, like people don't have to migrate to every version we release, right? You can stay in version 2 for years. Then you upgrade to version 8, right? From 2 to 8, you don't have to migrate from 2 to 3 to 4 to 6 to 5 to 5 to 6 to 7 and to 8. You don't have to do all these changes. You can just jump from 2 to 8 whenever you think it's the right moment. So yeah, we just keep advancing, and that's it.
I still think we can take a page out of the Node.js Foundation book.
Yeah.
So we don't have to have a release that is
Long
this
term.
prominent. Yeah, long term.
Yeah, we can definitely apply something like that. That's what I will do. I think that's what I will change for the major releases. I wouldn't hold any change. If in less than a year we have another major change, I will ship it and release version 4. I wouldn't hesitate. That's what I will do. That's completely fine.
Yep. All right. We are out of time. Any last remarks before the ending? No. What's that? What's it called when they do like not 3, 2, 1 sold, but like what's that called? Auctioneer? No.
Bid, an auction.
Yeah, can't remember. Final call or something. It's like, yeah, that's it.
That's
Thanks
it.
everyone for joining. That's it. See you next time.